Hey everybody, hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. This is my very first video ever, so please forgive me for being nervous and stumbling around a lot. A little bit about myself. My name is Jessica. I'm a 34-year-old full-time night shift nurse. I am newly engaged and I have no kids of my own. On this channel, we will be talking about budgeting, cash stuffing, sinking funds, savings challenges, and hopefully some grocery hauls and meal planning videos, because groceries are where I tend to overspend the most. I've never put myself on a grocery budget before, so I'm interested to see if I can stick to it and what I'll be able to make with grocery prices continuing to increase everywhere these days. Hopefully I'll be able to continue to make some of my favorites, but I may not be able to. I might have to change some things up. We'll see how it goes. If any of this sounds interesting, comment, like, and subscribe to see more. I am really anxious and excited to finally start this journey with all of you. I've been wanting to be part of this community for a really long time. I know I have learned so much from all of you already, and I hope to return the favor, and maybe someone will see one of my videos and learn something as well. This journey is a very long time coming for me. I almost started the channel about a year ago, almost to the day, but then, you know, life happened and things came up and it just kind of never did. It just never started. And on top of that, I'm one of the biggest procrastinators in the world. If you know, you know. Comment below if you've been there before. Honestly, I really need help. I need something to help hold myself accountable and help me be more intentional with my money. My ultimate goal is to become debt-free, if nothing else, but I'm trying to get together the down payment for a house as well. And it's really hard to pay down debt and then save money, like the type of money that you need for a down payment on a house. Follow this channel and we'll try and see how that journey goes together. So I guess the best way to do this is just jump into it. So here we go. We're going to get started with my debt confession. I don't actually have a lot of different types of debt. I am in quite a bit of debt, but just a couple things. At the beginning of the year, because I also had intended of trying to possibly start this channel at the beginning of the year as well, I have my car, which then was almost $5,000 left to pay on that. I have I guess it's considered a student loan. I have a lot of like federal student loans, but when I look at my credit report, for some reason, I don't remember this loan. But I'm pretty sure it happened my freshman year and everything was, you know, kind of new. But there is a loan showing for $2,000 that comes like from the university itself, not necessarily like a federal loan. No interest has like added to it or anything, so I've not been super important, or like it's not really a priority for me to pay that one back at the moment. And same with this medical bill. Excuse me. I believe it is from like an ER visit probably 5 or 6 years ago, a chest x-ray. And since then, that hospital has been like bought out by another hospital. And so, but I've not seen any amount change on this. So again, it's one that I'm just kind of setting to the side. At the moment, the one that I'm worried about the most right now is my student loan, which brings us to a total of almost $110,000. My loan is split up into subsidized and unsubsidized, and the interest that I had accumulated on it was a little over $7,000 at the time. Fast forward to this month, and I have just a little over $1,000 left on my car. I've not touched the MSU or the medical amount, and then I have my student loan. So it went from just under $110,000 to just under $105,000. A good portion of that is pretty much my car. Now for my student loans here, my interest came down a little bit, which kind of brought down the overall total. Like a lot of people, I was delinquent on my student loans for quite a while, And so last summer, last June, when I intended on starting this channel, I thought, you know, right now we're not expected to pay anything on the student loans, so now would probably be the best time to try and set up a payment plan, and I can get some payments in before any more interest starts to build up. And so I contacted, it was basically, my loan was with a collection agency, it wasn't with the Department of Education at the time. So I contacted that servicer, and I thought when I got off the phone that I would have a payment plan set up and an amount to pay each month, and you know that all I had to do was set up a payment plan, just call them and set that up. But that's not exactly what happened. Where I had been delinquent for a while, and I guess where I'd not shown that I had paid continually for a large amount of time, to be able to bring my loan back into good standing, I had to do or be part of what they called a rehabilitation program. And so I sent in all the information, how much I made, how much I paid in bills, and they gave me a monthly payment of $204, which I thought was good at the time. And I had to be in that program. I had, for 9 months, you had to pay 9 payments without being late, without missing any payments. And I'm guessing this is just to show that you will keep up on a payment schedule. And then at the end of that 9 months, the loan would be sent back to the Department of Education, whom I would have to call and set up a new payment plan. And they assured me that the $204 that I was paying monthly would definitely increase, and they were not wrong. And another reason why I had called them that day, because I was trying to get this, you know, this whole channel going, I needed, you know, to know what I was going to pay monthly. I can't talk about paying on a student loan if I didn't really have a actual plan set up, you know. But I'd also come across something on Instagram, probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I was still in nursing school, and I took a screenshot of it. And it was honestly the description of whatever was posted. I don't remember what was posted, but it was the description was what I was interested in. And it had talked about a formula or equation that you could do to calculate the amount of interest that your loan accrued during a year. And you could take that number and multiply it by 365 and find your daily amount, and by 12 to find your monthly amount. And that if your monthly payment was not more than that amount, that you were not making any headway on your loan. You were basically just paying interest, and you were never going to pay any on the principal, and you were basically going to stay in debt forever. And so that, like most people seeing that, if you're not, I want to say deep down I thought of it, but never in that way, and not to the point that I would actually make sure that I was paying what I should be paying, and that I wasn't going to be in debt forever. So I called that day because I thought if I set the payment plan, because when I looked online, it didn't show my interest rate. And so I thought, okay, once I set the payment plan, it'll show the interest rate, because that's going to affect my monthly payment, so it'll have to show that. But during that 9-month rehabilitation program, it didn't show it. So I had to wait till I was done with that, and then within the last month and a half, it's gone back to the Department of Education, and I've set up, you know, the payment plan and everything there, and I now have a interest rate that I can do that calculation with. And so we're gonna talk about that a little bit, just in case you didn't know anything about it, because it's quite a bit of an eye-opener. So this is the example that she had used on that description of that post. All you have to do is take your loan balance and multiply it by your interest rate, but your interest rate needs to be converted into a decimal. And so the example that she used, they turned 5.625% into 0.05625. You just move your decimal place 2 places to the left. So this was moved over to the left twice, making it 0.05625. So you multiply that out, and that equals your annual or yearly amount of interest that is being accrued on this loan. And then if you divide that amount by 365, you get your daily amount. And if you divide that amount by the 12, you get your monthly amount. Now, when I did that with my loan, let's just say it wasn't a good amount. So I multiplied that out and I came up with $517.52 a month, which, oh, I did not like it all, and is actually about $115 more than what my monthly payment is. So just like that description had predicted, I am not making enough to cover the interest of my loan monthly. And because of that, I would be paying on this loan forever, and not only not making any progress, but getting even further into debt. Every month I would be getting $114.82 more into debt, which is very discouraging. It's very, like, shameful and embarrassing to think that I let myself get in this situation, and that I'm just now at 34 years old, I guess, coming to peace with needing to pay more attention to this kind of stuff. And that's what this channel is going to be about. I need to be held accountable for the mistakes I made in the past and how I'm going to fix it. And we're going to kind of go on that journey together, because I think anybody in this situation, anyone on any of these channels that's just trying to make it through the day, through the week, to the next paycheck, we all need all the support we can get. And so here we are. But after I saw that, I started doing quite a few more calculations, trying to figure out what amount I could get my principal to that came out to a monthly payment that I could afford a little better, and maybe make a little bit more progress on the repayment of the loan itself. So I did notice that pretty much for every $1,000 that I paid down on the principal, took about $5-ish off of the payment per month. And if I was able to pay off all of the interest, this $6,348.97, if I was able to pay all that off, that I could get to a monthly payment of $484.90, which is still $800, Lord Jesus, $82 more than what I'm supposed to pay, but I mean, it's better than the $517. And another reason why I really need to get at least to this point, if at all possible, is because once we have to start paying our loans back, if it is not extended again, which I really hope that if they could just extend it to the end of the year, I would be more than grateful. But if it is not, when we start the repayment process again, and I still have interest, every payment I make, I don't know how many people know, but if you have any interest accrued, especially on student loans, any payment you make will only go to the interest. You cannot pay any on your principal as long as you have accrued interest. So no matter how much is here, if you have this amount or $50, that $50 has to be taken out of your payment before any of your payment will go to your principal. And then usually, I believe, like at least it was with my car payment, the amount that you pay was, like, on the car, split in half, and half went to your principal and half went to the interest that was accrued, and or to the interest that's supposed to be paid, because there wasn't any accrued on my car loan. But if I don't get this paid and the repayments start up, this $402 is not going to touch how much interest is going to accrue in that month. And not only do I have to pay that amount, that will only cover the interest that accrues that month that I'm paying. To make any headway on what's left here, I'd have to pay even more, which I do plan to pay extra on this loan, just like I did with my car, to get it paid off sooner. But the amount extra that can go towards what's been built up for so long, it's not going to be much. So it's going to take me so much longer to get out of this hole to even start paying on the amount of the principal payment that I need to get paid down. So I need to get this paid down before the repayments start. And if we do happen to get any of the forgiveness, believe me, we definitely deserve way more than $10,000. But if that's all we get, I need all of that $10,000 to be the most beneficial to me, to come off of the principal payment and not go to interest that's left to be paid. Because if there's any of this left, it'll probably pay that first, and then the rest will be applied to the principal, which will help me some. But to help me in the most positive way, I need all of the $10,000 to come off of that amount to lower me down to an amount that I'm more able to pay monthly. So $459 is even better than the $484. And if I can somehow get it down to this before the $10,000 comes off and bring me down to $85,000, then I'll have an even better payment and be able to put more towards the principal itself once the repayment process starts. So if you've not thought of this, if you've not done this, if you didn't know this, please take the time to figure this out, to know for sure if you're making the best progress on your loan that you can possibly make. Because like I thought, and they did make a comment in that description that the most people that fall into this trap are the people that do like an income type repayment plan, an income driven repayment plan, which is really unfair. I think if you're, and like I didn't absolutely have to take this route, I chose to take this route because I wanted the lowest payment possible on paper. So, you know, if I came up on a bad month and couldn't make an extra payment, at least I'd be able to make the initial, the lowest payment I could, the original payment, and still be okay and not be considered delinquent or behind. But I want to make extra payments, and I feel like it's just so not fair, because there's some people that have no other option but to take the IDR plan, the income driven repayment plan, and they may not be able to even do that, you know, just because that's the number they're given, and maybe that's the lowest the amount they'll give those people. But what if they can't even pay that? It's just not fair, you know. They're going to be paying on it forever just to show that they're making a payment and not be behind and not be considered delinquent. You still have to make that payment, but I mean, when you know that that payment is just going to interest and you're not making any progress on the loan, it's hard to not feel like, what's the point of paying it? You know, it's hard to not just be like, I can feed my family on that. I can put gas in my car. I can go to work. I can pay on my car payment. I can pay on a house payment. I can do so much with that money, more beneficial than it does paying it on nothing but interest and just making no headway on the loan itself. So I understand why a lot of people, you know, don't pay on certain loans, because they may not, for one, be able to afford it, but it's not at all beneficial to them. They're not making any progress on the loan, so why not use it where it does more for them? I'm sorry, that's the end of my rant on that. But that's the kind of the shape I'm in right now. Any money extra I have is going to go to this interest right here, because I need to get it paid off as soon as possible before these loans start their repayment process. And I do have some in sinking funds. I didn't film, or I did film, but it was a super long video. Me stuffing my first paycheck of the month, and it was probably even more rattly and you know, ranty than this one, and just going off on tangents, because, you know, it was this is my first video being put on YouTube, but it's not the first attempt at a video, let's just say that. And anyone that's, you know, started a channel, you've been there before, you've probably had, you know, the nerves and trying to get over that whole process. But because I have stuffed my first paycheck of the month, I do have some in sinking funds, and I was very fortunate, like I said, to be a nurse for the past 4 years, that I'm able to be, I'm about a month ahead on my bill, so I have enough in my paycheck to cover my bills for a month, and I did have some extra. I didn't really overspend a lot. Anything left over from my checks just stayed in my bank account and accumulated, but it would have done a lot better for me, or worked for me a little bit, had it been in like a high interest, you know, savings account or something like that. And so not only did I pull out the amount I needed to stuff for my first paycheck, but I also pulled out a bunch of that extra money that I had to catch up some of my cash envelopes that I hadn't stuffed and that I should have been stuffing since the beginning of the year. And so I have some in cash envelope, or I mean my sinking funds, and then I also have a 100 envelope challenge that I probably didn't catch up like to the point I should be, because it's supposed to be like 2 envelopes a week. So I'm not completely caught up, but I did put a good amount of money in there. And because of that, if I need it, if I get to a point where it's getting close and I do not have all that paid off, I will pull all the money out of those envelopes. I will pull all the money out of the sinking funds. I will do what I have to do to get as close to zero on this as possible. And plus, thankfully, July is, for me, and should be for a lot of people, a magic month. And so my paychecks are kind of close to this amount. And so I'm hoping my third paycheck of July will cover this, and I'll be able to use that and pay off the entire interest of the AB loan, and only have what's left on the AA loan. So we'll see how that goes in the upcoming videos. I have also made a few forms that I'll show you. I'm going to try and go through them on this video so I don't have to explain it in all of the cash stuffing videos and make them super long. All of the forms that I have made, I made on Google Sheets because it's free. It's very similar to Microsoft Excel if you've ever used that before. It's pretty much the same thing from what I can tell. And I like the fact that it prints the boxes, because I don't write very straight unless I got a line to write on. And comment down below if you are the same. But on this annual debt tracker, I have just column to add up the minimum payments, any extra that I've been able to pay, and then the total that I paid that month. And I wanted to do this just to, keep track of my starting debt from the beginning of the year to the ending debt, but to really see how much money am I putting towards the debt. Is there any place that I should have put more towards it? And just, to see the flow of how it goes throughout the year. Obviously, these first few months is when I only had my minimum car payment and that $204 on the student loan, and then this was the extra I paid on my car. And these 729s are where the new student loan minimum amount came in, and then the extra that I paid on those. So it's slowly getting to be a little bit more towards getting more debt paid off, so that's good. It's going in the right direction. These next two I did not make. I got them off of a website called, I printed them or downloaded it anyway quite a while ago, called debtfreecharts.com. There are lots of charts like this, which are basically trackers for debt or, emergency starter fund. There's a lot that have this same kind of like game board, and it'll say like car loan or paying off student loans and anything like that. But I just thought these were really a fun way to try and track debt payoff. And a lot of the stuff on her website is free. There are some that you have to pay for, but these, at least at the time that I printed them, were both free. So check that website out because there's some fun stuff on there. Next is another form that I made on Google Sheets. This is from this month, so it's not really blank, it's all filled out. But this is what I made to track my monthly and annual bills and how I'm spending my paycheck, and what I'll have left over to put into sinking funds and cash envelopes. I made this, it's very similar to some of the things out there, but the the two drawbacks of some of the other options out there is you'll have one page where you will put down you'll write down the amount of your check, and then you split it up however you're going to split it up between your checks, and you'll fill out that page, and then you have to flip 3 or 4 or 6 or 5 or however many pages that you have to go through to get to the next page where you do the same thing with your second check. I wanted all of that on one page if possible, and I have enough space on here to do 3 checks. So like my magic month, which all of that, or my magic paycheck, magic month where I get a third paycheck, let's say that correctly. I can put in here if I'm going to pay anything extra, or maybe say I do this some of the bills again, that could add to a buffer. If you're trying to get 1 month ahead on bills, you could pay half your month extra, And then, because I think we get 2 magic months a year, so if you're trying to get a month ahead in bills, use your paycheck to do half of your bills like you normally would, and just keep it in the bank and have a little bit left over to stuff. And then when you get to your other magic month, use that other third paycheck to do the same. And then you should, if you're able to afford to do that, you should have enough in the bank to cover your bills at that point. But like I said, I plan on putting all of that third paycheck towards the student loan interest. I like to use a lot of different colors. It helps me keep things straight. And I just highlight them here once they're paid. My utilities and power bill have an asterisk beside them until I figure out exactly what they're going to be, and then I just fill them in. And I just mark under each check what's coming out of each one, and then total it up at the bottom, and then I'll have what I have left for sinking funds and cash stuffing. My annual section here, I have asterisks beside what technically is the monthly amount for all of these, and I have that added up, and it's about $100 a month that I will add, just like it's another bill, so I can keep, this is the first time I've done this part, like the 100. I have always had this amount in the bank, so I was never really worried. If I went, like if I knew one of these were supposed to come out, I wasn't worried, do I have the money in the bank, because I knew it was there. But now that I've pulled some of that money out, I need to be a little bit more intentional and be paying more attention to how or when this is coming out. So starting June, I'm leaving $100 in the bank every month for that. So by this time next year, I already have this total kept in the bank and a buffer. But by this time next year, I'll have this amount in the bank as well to cover all of these bills. So I write on the side here in a different color any additional payments, and I just put over here which check it's coming out of. I'll also write any additional notes I might need to remember. Like I said, I had that extra money in the bank, and so this $152 that was extra on the student loan came from the bank savings. It didn't actually come from my check, so this $152 is not in this total that we have right here, because it came from savings that I already had in the bank. And I think that's what, oh, here on Capital One savings, that's not really a bill, so to speak. I have one of the Capital 360 savings accounts, and when you like sign up and start that account, you can set it to on a rotation, or you can do it monthly, you can do it every 2 weeks, you can do it every week if you'd like. Have it pull from an account. I just have it pulling from my bank account. Every 2 weeks I'll pull $50 to put into the savings account. So I just have that on here as another bill, that way I don't forget about it. But so I liked having it all on one page. That was one of my main things, was getting it all to where I didn't have to flip back and forth and get confused or mix up numbers or forget which paycheck I was paying which bill. And plus, I don't have to rewrite all this stuff every single month, because that takes forever sometimes. And where it's online, it's free. You can access it anywhere you can get on a computer, on your phone, get on your computer at work, at home, get on your phone. If you're waiting in line at the doctor or something like that, you can get on there and alter this if you need to. And anytime something changes, you just fix it before you print out a new copy for the next month. Say you made the last payment on your car, so now you don't have a car payment. Well, when you print July's, delete that off. It won't be there anymore. It won't be in your way. Did you get rid of Netflix? Did you get rid of your Apple storage? Or did you finally pay off your phone, and so the amount of your phone bill is going to drop? All of that can be altered at any time, and just print out a new copy. That's what I loved about using Google Sheets. And the best part, it is free. The second one that I made is for my cash envelopes and sinking funds, and just a spot to write the month, and I write what I have left over from my check to stuff. My cash envelopes is the first category, and I'll go over them in a second. I have them here. The second category is my priority. things that I'm really worried about right now and that I feel need to be taken care of before everything else. The second category, or the third, is holidays and anything that might be in there for 1 to 2 years. Birthdays happen every year, holidays happen every year. The current event to me is more like, well, I'll go over that in my next video when I'm actually stuffing them. The kiddos is my nieces and nephews. I don't see them every year, so I'm not saying, there's no guarantee that money will be spent every year like birthday money. If I don't see them for a year and a half, that money will be spent, you know, within the 1 to 2 years probably. And then my last category is the long-term and variable. And that is mostly stuff that I don't know when I'm going to spend it. I know we won't be getting new phones anytime soon. We just got some. So that money will sit there and roll over until we get new ones, but it won't be anytime soon. Same thing with vacay and travel, or the baby category. I'm not pregnant right now. We don't really go on vacations very often. But I do want to be saving up for some of that money if we do need it. Don't buy clothes that often. I'm either in scrubs or PJs at the house. And Sam's Club, we go to maybe once or twice a year. And I'll go over this more in detail in my next video, because I think even though it's late, I'm going to stuff like the sinking funds in from my second paycheck of June. So I'll kind of explain a little bit more of this in that video. So stay tuned for that. And my last, I guess, form that I made was a kind of year-to-date spending. It was about 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe 5, when I first heard about Dave Ramsey, and that's kind of how I heard about cash envelopes and all of that. And I did want to try that as a budgeting method, because at that time I wasn't making that much money, and made some envelopes, but never really got into it the way that I probably should have, especially where I wasn't making a lot of money at the time. And but I did start seeing and watching some of his videos on YouTube about his, like, the call-in, the radio show that he has. And if you've ever been or seen any of those, or seen the, I guess, the titles, sometimes they'll have, I make $100,000 a year and I'm in $80,000 of debt, what do I do? And a lot of times, sorry if I put a cough drop in my mouth because my throat's getting really dry. I'm getting over being sick, and so I was hoping I'd be able to make it through the whole video. But he would tell them, a lot of times he always says, you know, sell a car, move, sell everything in sight, kind of stuff. But sometimes when they have good income, or there's 2 people, you know, it's not just one person, he will normally ask, what do you need to live on? You know, how much money do you actually have to make it day to day for the entire year? And if they say, like, all of their expenses only come to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, he's like, well, that's $40,000 left over. You make $100,000 a year, so take that $40,000, put it to debt, and you'll have it paid off in 2 or 3 years. And when you think about it, it's kind of like, duh, why didn't I think of that? Or why does it seem so difficult when you think about it that way? And it's because it's different when you see it in really big numbers versus in little numbers. And so I wanted to see in an entire year, what did it really actually come to live, you know, to make it day to day for the entire year? How much money did that actually cost? And so this one is a lot, or this page is pretty much all the bills and stuff that I have. And the second sheet, which I've not really filled any of it out yet, is all of the cash envelopes and sinking funds. But I wanted to see, what did I actually spend throughout the year? And because it doesn't seem like a lot when it adds up $20 here or $100 that you went over your budget in a month. You know, that's not a whole lot to recuperate from. But when you see it happen every month for an entire year, or maybe you had one month where you spent a ton of money, at the end of the year, when it's all added up, it will make a much bigger impact. Like when you think of, you know, buying that $5 coffee, which I don't really drink coffee that often, or, you know, buy it at Starbucks or anything like that. But I know that's an example a lot of people use, is, you know, the amount of coffee that they buy every day kind of thing. And it doesn't seem like a lot when it's just once a week or a couple times a month, and you think, well, that's just, you know, $20 in coffee, and I went over my grocery budget in just by $50. But if it happens every month, you know, that's turns out to be a lot of money. And so I wanted to see at the end of the year, what did it really come to? Could I put more towards debt than I actually did? Am I really living outside my income? That kind of idea. And so that's where I made this sheet to try and keep track of that. I've not really kept track of it on here very well. I definitely need to do better about that. It's going to take a little bit of time going through some receipts and things like that to tally up that stuff. But I do intend to do it. And the last thing I think I'm going to go over right now is my cash envelopes, and that's just so I don't have to go over it so much in my other videos. For groceries, per week, I've allotted $150, but I only keep in this little envelope $25. I leave $125 in the bank because I mostly use my credit card so I can get the cashback rewards. And I've not kept track on here like I should have. I've laminated just a part of an index card. I cut it down to fit in my envelope. But to keep track of what store I went to and how much I spent, I keep 25. I only have 5 left now because it's, you know, I'll get paid in a couple days. But you never know if you go in a store, sometimes the card reader doesn't work. And so 25 in cash should get me what I absolutely need at that time. And if it wouldn't be enough, I can just go to a different store. But I only keep 25 in cash. And even if I do need that 25, you know, in the long run, just normally, I can just use it on my card and then put that money back in the bank the next time I go to withdraw. Or just put it in I kind of have like a home bank. I have an envelope that's a bank envelope that I put extra money that has to go back to the bank. And every payday, when I get my denominations and figure out what I need, I'll go through that bank bag and pull out of that first, so I don't have to pull as much out of the bank. But so that's why I have like the little tracker in there. And for my groceries and gas, I have the amount that's kept in the bank written there beside it. For the groceries, I keep 25 in cash and 125 in the bank. And for my gas envelope, I keep 30 in the bank and 15 in cash. I've not spent any on gas in the last little bit because me and my fiance are sharing a car right now, and he's been the one filling it up lately. And I only allot 45 paycheck for gas because I don't have to go very far. I live like 10 minutes from work, and $15 if, you know, the card reader isn't working or something like that and I have to pay in cash, the $15 should get me where I have to go. So some of the other ones, I need to make a tracker and stuff for that one, but that is kind of how the tracker works. You know, I should be filling it out with where I went to eat, but it's progress, baby steps. I've made the envelopes and I have the means to track it, but I'm trying to get used to doing the actual tracking part. But I think that's about all of the forms and stuff that I was going to go through. I'll go into a little bit more detail when I use them in the cash stuffing envelope or videos. And I hope to make that video. I'd like to do it after this. So there might be another video coming up today. If not, it might be another day or so. But then it might be a double day because that'll probably be the same day that I get the first paycheck of July. So I know I've rambled on, and I'm sorry. I'm real nervous where it's my first video. But comment, like, and subscribe if any of this was interesting to you. If you like the video, if you hate the video, if you just want to make any kind of comment, go ahead. Please leave any questions you might have below. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.